President Trump's second term a major topic among global leaders at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Maria spoke with Poland's President Andrzej Duda in Davos, asking his opinion on the 47th president. Watch.
And joining me right now is the President of Poland, Andrzej Duda. Mr. President, so good to see you.
Dzień dobry, witam bardzo serdecznie.
Thank you so much for being here, and much conversation this week here in Davos about President Trump returning to the White House with new policies. Can you assess the policies and tell us what you're expecting in terms of the impact on Poland and the European Union?
Yes, good afternoon. So I believe that I belong to those European politicians and to those European observers who are looking at the comeback of President Donald Trump to the White House in a very calm way. So I'm waiting calmly for the continuation of the very clear policy of President Donald Trump, the clear policy that he followed during his previous 4 years as the President of the United States, because now I believe he is experienced. He's got that experience from his previous 4 years, so probably he's going to be even more efficient in carrying out his policies.
One of your former colleagues said that the Trump revolution of common sense is beginning to sweep Europe as well. Do you see that?
Well, for sure, Donald Trump and some see in Europe, we can see in Europe, together with the comeback of Donald Trump, mobilization of those circles, of those groups who have got certain concerns or certain fears. On the one hand, those fears or those concerns are connected with a competition with the United States, and on the other hand, it's the fears of Donald Trump not supporting those liberal and leftist circles that have been dominating in Europe, and those people are for sure scared. Well, I have talked to President Donald Trump. I talked to him on many occasions during his first term in office and also later on. And also in April, I had a meeting with him in New York. We had a very long discussion. And I do know what Donald Trump's expectations are and how he sees those changes in relations between Europe and the United States. And, well, he has brought forward very clear arguments concerning relations between the United States and European countries, especially those rich countries, those very affluent countries. And the arguments that President Donald Trump has presented have been very logical and very clear. And I do believe that Donald Trump is right.
And he is reversing all of Joe Biden's policies. One of those policies was upsetting Poland, and that is, I know, the move to limit the export of artificial intelligence chips to Poland. What has been the impact?
Well, in Poland, we have a feeling that we have been hurt by this decision, and there is a deep sense of disappointment with this policy, that is decisions taken by President Biden and his administration, especially with view of the fact that recent parliamentary elections in Poland were won by the political camp of left liberal politicians led by Donald Tusk. So they seem to be very close allies with U.S. Democrats. Still, this administration has taken such a decision, and well, as a result of that decision, Poland has found itself among the countries which are not in the first tier of U.S. allies. So we have been pushed to the second or even third tier of those countries who are not very highly trusted by the United States. So it is also my feeling, my personal feeling, that it has caused some hurt and damage here in Poland.
And many of the issues that Donald Trump talks about are also issues for you and for Europe in general. Illegal migration is a major issue. You see what Italy is doing at the border. You want the EU to focus on security. The border with Belarus highlighting the challenge, right?
Well, we have been very stable in our policy, though we have been attacked by the European Union institutions, and that has been going on for 9.5 years. So for the whole tenure of my presidency as President of Poland, since the very first years, we protested against the policy conducted by the European Union, the quota system, which consists in moving migrants across the borders, open borders, and we protested against that in a very consistent way. We have been conducting a very consistent policy on this one. And when the hybrid attack came, when our border was attacked from Belarus, and when migrants were pushed on our border, we reacted in a very strong, in a very robust policy of defending our borders, and we are defending them until today.
Do you believe the upcoming election will turn on that issue?
Zobaczymy.
Well, we will see about that. All depends on the results of the elections. I'm thinking in the first place about the presidential elections upcoming in Poland, but also in other countries we will witness certain elections taking place. For example, the elections in Germany, which are also moving closer to us, and the result of those elections will for sure have an impact on the policy of the European Union.
Let me end with the war, Russia's war on Ukraine. President Trump said because of the topography, the land is all flat, there are many, many more people who are dying than actually they're telling us, that we are seeing soldiers die by the hundreds. And I want to get your take. President Trump said he wants this war to end soon, on his watch. Do you think that's possible?
To jest bardzo trudne zadanie.
Well, this is a very difficult task indeed, but I'm sure that President Donald Trump, he is very much determined, and he's got this very out-of-the-box view of politics. So if he's saying that, I believe that this is going to come true. It is going to happen. And actually, I expected this topic to be raised right after President Donald Trump comes into office, because that was a topic which was also touched upon during the presidential campaign in the United States, and it happened this way. Actually, today I was able to see pieces of speech given by Marco Rubio, and he said that President Donald Trump is very serious about this topic of bringing the war in Ukraine to an end, and he's very calm in his approach. And I think this is the right way to go. I think exactly the same. What I would like to stress, and I believe it is absolutely indispensable, is the following. If there are peace talks held under the auspices of the United States, first and foremost, there should be at the negotiating table, if Russia is sitting at the negotiating table, it's absolutely necessary that also Ukraine sits there. And this is indispensable because we cannot accept any agreements being entered into above the heads of our Ukrainian neighbors.
And of course, our thanks to the president of Poland, Andrzej Duda. We're going to take a